Om Sai Ram. Let us understand chapter number 53, Avatarnika, which is epitome. But before that, let us do the Namasmaran, followed by chapter number 53, and we will end with the Aarti. Shri Sachidanand Sadguru Sainath Maharaj ki jai. ओम श्री साई नाथाय नमः। 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 ओम साई राम। Chapter number 53, Avatarnika, which is epitome. I bow down to Sri Ganesh. I bow down to Sri Saraswati. I bow down to the Guru. I bow down to the family deity. I bow down to Sri Sita Ramachandra. I bow down to Sri Satguru Sainath. Sri Sai is truly Brahman incarnate, the greatest among saints, the Lord Paramount, whose fame reached every corner of the earth and is a grantor of intelligence and inspiration. I surrender to him with wholehearted devotion. I do obeisance at his holy feet. He removes the fear of this mundane existence and breaks the cycle of birth and death. In the previous chapter, it has been promised to give a review and the table of contents of index before concluding the book. Though Pant Hemad said so, it did not happen that way. The table of contents was not drawn up or was overlooked. He who starts the book should himself complete it by giving table of contents to the end. This is the usual procedure, but there are exceptions to the rule, and this can be seen here itself. Nothing happens as one wishes. Only Baba's wishes are overriding. Hemant died unexpectedly. Everyone was sorrowful. The table of contents was not to be traced, and everyone were confused. Anna Sahib's records was difficult to find. His son Sri Gajanan made efforts to look and gave me whatever was needed. Anna Sahib was thrifty and did not waste even a scrap of paper. He worked with grace and tidiness as it was his nature. He wrote a chapter on bits of paper and gave them as is as it is to the printer. Unnecessary expense hurt him. He could not be compared to anyone else. He felt pity for those lifeless, helpless scraps of paper. How would how would they be uplifted unless they served the lion amongst the saints, that is Sri Baba. Hemad must have felt this way and therefore collected these scraps of paper so that they could also serve. They must have been the exhalated intention. In the last chapter, must have been done in the same way and must have been written on scraps of paper. A lot of thought was given, but yet the index could not be found amongst the bits of paper. The matter was told to Gajanan Rao and others. It was also told to Baba Saheb Tarkad, the treasurer of Shirdi Sansthan. All of them were in the opinion that the index should be there. Baba Saheb fixed a time limit and published this also. In the Shri Sai Leela, the time lapsed, yet the index was the time had lapsed, yet the index did not come forth. Hemant Govind was a mine of virtues. He knew the Vedant by heart, which was his command. His book exhibited the Guru's grace like Prasad. Incredible was the Guru's grace. Innumerable were the devotees of Satguru Sai, from amongst whom Hemad Pant was a gem of a poet. Only someone who was as knowledgeable as he was would be capable of writing it. The index did not come forth from anywhere. I felt dejected. I prayed to Datta Guru, Shri Sai Baba, and pleaded for mercy. I was dull-witted and insignificant, without a studious contemplation or even a trace of knowledge. But, uh, but being totally devoid of the poetic tendency, how could I compose verses? But there was only one support that I had. When Sri Datta Guru is favorable, even the Meru mountain can be lifted easily, and his powers were great. Again, I prayed to Umaram Shiva so that Sai Narayana would be merciful and give me the inspiration to write the index immediately. I do not have the capacity to compose poetry. Sri Guru Raya is aware of my limitation. Placing my head at his feet, I shall begin writing the index. This part of the book, which the index will be composed by Sai Vakratunda Ganapati. His grandeur is unparalleled and immense. My mouth is only an instrument. In the first chapter is the invocation to the remover of difficulties and the cause of the universe, to the ornament around the neck of Uma and Shiva, obeisance to Sri Ganesh, obeisance also to the wonderful goddess of speech, wisdom, Sri Sharada, who entices the world and is the grantor of whatever is desired. Obeisance to Lord Sai, the family deity, the relations, the Guru Brethren, the saints and virtuous people who are the incarnations of God, and surrender to the Sadguru, who is the abode of salvation, by narrating the story of grinding of the wheat and how cholera epidemic was removed was explained, and the powers of the greatness of Sai was described. In the second chapter, the purpose of writing the book is given. Also, the naming of Hemad Pant, the end of the debate of the necessity of the Guru, and the first darshan of Hemad. In the third chapter, it has been fully explained about how the permission was given for writing the book by Sai's own words and the story about Rohila. Next, the reason of appearance of saints and stages, who are the ornaments of the rulers of the world on the earth, has been explained in detail. At first, arrival of Sai Avatar, Datta, son of Atri, and wish fulfilling tree in Shirdi village. All has been described in the fourth. The disappearance from the Shirdi village and reappearance in the company of well-to-do Patil was surprised by all. The gathering of Gangagir and other saints, the carrying of water in pots on his own head from afar to create a garden is fully mentioned in the fifth. In the sixth chapter, the big festival of Ram Navami, where Bala Bua was the Kirtankar, and the renovation of the masjid is narrated in detail. Next is about the yogic practices of Samadhi, Kanda Yoga, Dhoti, Poti, etc., where Baba was a Hindu or a Muslim, the unfathomable inner self of a saint. Baba's dress, behavior, giving of medicine, smoking, chillam, duni, lamps, his illness, services to him, incomprehensible was the sight of all this. The seventh, by the learned poet, excellently narrates the matters about Bagoji Shinde's leprosy, the medicine for plague affecting Karpade's son, and Nana Pandarpur Darshan idea. The unique greatness of human birth, the description of the mode in which Sai asks for alms, the service of Bajabai to the saints, and the offering of food to Baba with her own hands. How Baba, Tatya, and Malsapati, all the three of them slept in the masjid at night, and Baba's excessive love for both of them, which was identical, and mutual love for Baba, who was the respiratory of peace and knowledge, and Kushal Chand of Rahata village, is all delighted narrated in the eighth chapter. How greatly Tatya Sahib Nulkar and Tatya Patil, who were great devotees as well as the English gentleman repented for not following instructions. How Baba made an offering to the five elements before savoring food had been given, and Baba qualified to seek alms is cleverly explained. And the excellent story of how Baba Saheb Tarkad, the staunch Prarthana Samajist, became a devotee of Sai wholeheartedly are all given in the ninth chapter. Yogeshwar Baba's bed of plank, a four-hand and long span in width hung from the rafters, a touching account of when Baba's first arrival in Shirdi, how many years he had lived there and left the mortal coil, though calm and desireless within, outwardly demonstrating a demonic nature, and Guru Raya's unfailing inclination to lead people together on the particular path. The Sadguru's tremendous skill in teaching the Veda Shastras and the essence of religion, spirituality, and code of conduct, and testing the intellect of devotees are well and non devotees. Baba's usual seat, Baba's knowledge, and Baba's meditation, and Baba's dwelling. His power and his greatness are fully described in the 10th chapter. Baba's fame everywhere as being embodiment of Sachidanand, Dr. Pandit, loving devotion and narration of the behavior of Siddiqui Falke, his control over the clouds, and his incredible power over the fire, and his protection from strong winds are interestingly described in the 11th. Kaka Mahajani, Dumal, Nimonkar, a Mamaldar, and a doctor. Different incidents about each of them were narrated sweetly, and the unique Sai darshan of the Agnihotri from Nasik, doubting Mule, a disciple of Saint Gopal Ram in the 12th chapter, Balashimpi's malaria was cured by giving curd to a black dog, and Bapu Sahib Bhuti's cholera was cured by feeding him walnuts and pistachios. The Swami from Alandi, who had pain in the ear, was cured with blessings, and diarrhea that Tata Mahajani suffered was removed by peanuts. The devotee Datta Pant from Harada, who suffered from severe stomach ache, was freed from his trouble by blessings in front of everybody. And one Bhimaji Patil had severe cough and tuberculosis. He was cured by the application of Udi, all narrated in the 13th. Saint Rutanji, a Parsi from Nanded, a famous businessman who was dejected and granted a son by placing him in the seventh heaven. How the Saint Moli Sahib of Nanded, who worked as a coolie and remained incognito, became known thanks to the indication of Sai in the amazing story in the 14th. The Kirtan practice of Narada was told by Baba to Das Ganu and Cholkar and requited his woe by giving him tea and full of sugar. A lizard from Aurangabad had come and met one in the mosque, and the story of their choppings narrated in the 15th. A gentleman endowed with, with wealth and children came to Shirdi having learnt of Sai's fame to acquire knowledge of the Brahman. One who desires the Brahman should be detached from the worldly life, and the greed for wealth should be discarded at the first step. But if he could not give a loan of 5 rupees to Baba for a short while, even though he had a big roll of money in his clothes, how could he attain Brahman? The method by which Sai taught the lesson was beautiful, and Hemad's words was like prasad, a mixture of milk and sugar. This enticing the story in the 16th, the continuation of the earlier story, a detailed discussion of the knowledge of Brahman, total destruction of greed of money is the interesting narration in the 17th. Sate's story about the Guru Charita, the story about Radhabai's Upadesha, and the favor bestowed on Hemad, skillfully narrated in the 18th. the detailed narration about this favor and the in-depth thoughts of Hemad according to the lesson taught by Sri Sai given in the 19th. Das Ganu commenced the Ishavasya Bhavartha Bodhini. In that respect, he had some doubts which he had asked Baba. Baba said that the maid servant of Kaka Dikshit would resolve it. The Sadguru's greatness is extraordinary and interesting narration of it in the 20th. A virtuous district officer, another learned man, Patnakar, and the third a brilliant lawyer. All the three were granted favors as mentioned in the 21st. Mashidi Bai helps to cross the ocean of existence. It is none other than Dwarkamai. Baba said this to all the people, but no one understood its deepest meaning. The virtues of Mashid Mai was praised. Mirkar and Booty was saved from snake bites. Amir Shakkar's rheumatism was cured and he was saved from the danger of a snake. Hemad was saved from the danger of a bite from a scorpion and the other from a snake and untimely death. All these incidents are published in the 22nd. How the doubts of a student of yoga was removed, how Madhav Rao was cured of a snake bite. Dhuni, the firewood and killing of a goat was interestingly described. The respect and glamour of Bade Baba, the lack of obedience of the Guru's orders, his greed for more, irrespective of what was given to him, and his dissatisfied nature. Kaka Sahib, the best among the devotees, who had supreme and unswavering faith in the Guru's orders, and how the Satguru sported with him is beautifully narrated in the 23rd, making grains of grams the excuse. Hemad Pant was given the lesson that without remembering the Satguru, nothing should be eaten. Sai caused a quarrel between Anna Babre and Mosi Bai, and that uncommon incident of wit and humor had been sung by the inestimable poet in the 24th. A devotee, Damu Anna Assar, a resident of Ahmednagar, was desirous of doing big business of cotton and rice. There would definitely be a loss in the business. By eating the mangoes, sons will be born, said Sai, the son of knowledge. All this is described in the 25th. A devotee named Pant, who was a disciple of another saint, was immediately given an indication which made Pant overjoyous. The son of the devotee, Harishchandra Pittale, who was suffering from epilepsy, was completely cured by only a merciful glance. Pittale was given 3 rupees and told that he had been given 2 rupees earlier. Baba told him to worship them. It was the charming narration in the 26th. Tata Mahajani placed the Bhagavad Poti in the Lord's hands with the hope of getting it back as prasad, but the Lord gave it to Madhav Shama. The Poti of Vishnu Sahasranam was a collection of a Ramdasi. Baba took it from there without his knowledge and gave it to Madhav Rao. The story of Sai, the cloud of mercy, granted a boon to Shamrao by giving him the Vishnu Sahasranam Poti is narrated in the 27th. Lakshmi Chand Munshi Chitbai from Burampur and the most virtuous Brahmin Megha came to Baba's feet by giving them all a dream vision, gave them the experience in the waking state. Incredible are the feats of Sadguru Mauli. All are lovingly narrated in the 28th. A group of bhajan singers from Madras gathered in Shirdi to witness the spectacle of generosity and giving of charity by Baba, the Guliless Shankar. The way in which the examination of Raghunath Tendulkar's son and his pension problems were resolved are the pleasant leelas of Baba. and how Dr. Captain Hate, who was very loving, devoted to Sai's feet, was given an early morning dream vision in the graceful story in the 29th. A person named Kakaji Vaidya, a devotee of Saptarishi Devi, was given a dream vision by Devi to have darshan of Sai, the foremost among the saints. Shamra had taken a vow to the same Devi, so to fulfill the vow, Shama went to Vani after 30 years, and how Sai spoke, "Come to Shirdi" in the dreams of both Seth Kushal Chand of Rahata and a Punjabi Brahmin, Ramlal, is narrated in the 30th. Vijayanand, a Madras sannyasi, set out for Manasarovar. Baba Shri Hrishikesh personified held him back at his own feet, and the upliftment of the distinguished devotee Mankar, who hovered Sai's feet like a bee over honey, and afflicted cruel tiger, it beautifully narrated in the 31st. The story about four virtuous people wandering in the woods in the search of God, and the darshan given by Guru Raya to one Baba as he had shed his ego. The unusual episode of fasting Lady Gokhale Bai, and another similar story of Sai himself are sung by Hemad in the 32nd. A friend of Narayan Jani was suddenly stung by a scorpion, while the daughter of another devotee was suffering from high fever. How the difficult labor of Chandolkar's daughter frightened her, and how unhappy and worried everyone was. The staunch devotee of Kulkarni Sahib, the bhajan singer Balabua, really understood the efficacious power of the Udi, and the enchanting story of Dakshina of Haribhav Karnik, a devotee full of faith and religious feelings, will teach a lesson, are all in the 33rd. The great distress of Meligaon doctor on account of bone abscess of his nephew, the difficult illness of the staunch devotee of Dr. Pillai's Guinea worms, the torment of Babaji of Shirdi on account of Burgoni plague of his wife, and epilepsy of a young girl of Irani, which troubled her. The gentleman from Harada, who was in great pain due to the stones in his bladder, and difficulty labor of a lady from Bombay of Kashyap Prabhu caste. The complete removal of the above mentioned maladies or troubles by the mere application of Kudi without loss of time are interestingly described in the 34th. A friend of Mahajani who totally a friend of Mahajani who totally believed in the formless because of a devotee of the form after only one darshan, the greatest of gurus turned grapes into seedless, and one immediately gave them to Dharamsi Jetabai, a solicitor from Bombay, a Kashyap gentleman from Bandra who could not sleep at ease, and Bala Patil of Nevsa. Both had experiences of Udi, which are given in the 35th. Two gentlemen from Goa who had separately taken different vows, one for getting a job and the other for finding a thief. Both had forgotten their vows, but Sai Samartha made them remember. Who can describe the fame of him who had knowledge of the past, present, and future and was omniscient? The wife of Sakaram of Aurangabad rushed to Sai's feet for the boon of a son. How her wish was fulfilled by giving the coconut is the story told with the purpose in the 36th. Hemant describes the Chavdi celebrations and festivities after seeing for himself in interesting narration in the 37th. After putting difficult ingredients and variety of items cooked in the handi and distributed as prasad lunch to all, a pleasing narration in the 38th. The elucidation of the words from the Gita, Tat Vidhi Pranipatnena, is told to Chandarkar to remove his false pride about his knowledge of Sanskrit, and the king amongst the saints who gave a dream vision to Bapu Sahib Bhuti, instructing him to build a temple. This is in the narration of the 39th. Dio gave a feeding to the Brahmins in honor of his mother's completion of two vows, for which he invited Baba, writing a letter. On the day, the three eminent persons wearing a garb of sannyasis came and had their meals with the Brahmins. It was a difficult sport of the Guru Raya. After giving a dream vision to Hemad, Baba came for lunch in the form of a portrait. That is the lucid narration in the 40th. The poet narrates the story of a portrait at length. Two devotees, the Satguru's greatness is inconceivable. The narration is enchanting and witty, assuming the Rudra avatar and becoming red as blazing coal. Sri Sai showered a volley of abuses on Dio angrily. The Lord Sai said, read the Sri Sai Dhyaneshwari regularly, and even gave instructions in the dream about the method of reading. Hemad narrates this in the 41st. The application of Tripunananda by the devotee Date, the earlier warning about Sai's leaving the body, averting the death of Ramchandra Patil and Tatyakote Patil, and the story of Sri Satguru Sai Nath leaving the body, which caused deep sorrow amongst the listeners and disturbed Hemad also. These are the holy stories of the 42nd. The story of Baba leaving the body was certainly incomplete in the previous chapter, which is completed by Hemad Pant in chapter 43rd and 44th. Once, when Kaka Sahib Dikshit was reading the Eknath Bhagavad with Kaka Mahajani and Madhav had doubts, Madhav Rao clarified the doubts, but Dikshit was not convinced or satisfied. Anand Rao Pakhare narrated a dream and removed the doubt. Sai Samartha gave an explanation why Malsapati could not possibly sleep on a plank hung from the rafters. All the story skillfully was told in the 45th. Baba's deeds are wonderful. He remained fixed in one place but roamed everywhere, showing people his miraculous appearances. Strange were his travels to Kashi and Gaya. The gem amongst the saints told Shama to go and attend the wedding celebrations of San Chandolkar, and Shama saw Baba at Gaya in a portrait at that time. The earlier life story of two goats was narrated by himself by Sai. The third eye one, pleasing sweetly, holy and deep, is the story narration in the 46th. Similarly, a story about a snake and a frog, or a greedy money lender and a borrower in the previous lives, told by Sai, who was truly Brahma, Vishnu, Shankar. Enmity, murder, and debt have to be repaid, and for that there is rebirth. That is like a nectar like story that Baba imparts in heartwarming narration in the 47th. One staunch devotee, Shevade, and the manner in which he faced his advocate examination, and the other disbelieving Saptanekar, who was granted grace in the 48th. Hari Kanoba, a resident of Bombay, and Somadev Swami, who had a malicious mind, came to Shirdi to test the saint with the pride in his heart. As soon as the darshan was taken, they were told with the intention and were both right away ashamed, and they were attracted to Sai's feet, and their sins of many lives were obliterated. While sitting near Baba, Chandolkar's mind was disturbed, and his emotions were aroused by seeing a beautiful woman. This story has been narrated in the 49th. Raghunan's son, that is Govind Rao Dabolkar, gives a detailed meaning of Tatvidi Pranipatnena, given arguments in support and justification in the 50th. How Dikshit Hari Sitaram, the devotee Balram Dhurandhar, and the advocate named Pundalik of Nanad arrived initially in Shirdi. Each one's story is marvelous. Hearing them, the listeners will be amazed, and their devotional feelings were aroused. All this is narrated in the 51st. After reviewing the book, Hemad asks for a boon that the wicked and the evil minded be destroyed and the virtuous are protected. Surrendering at the Sadguru's feet and offering him his head and his pen, the book is completed and his objective is achieved in the 52nd. Govind Rao completed the series of chapters of SHRI Sai Satcharitra in this manner. I lovingly bow to his feet and also to the Guru, who is the mother of the whole universe. Giving the summary of each chapter itself is called Avatarnika. It is right or the virtuous path for all those desirous in attaining liberation. It may be scornfully neglected, considering it to be a ragged border for a beautiful mantle or a robe. And but this humble one appeals to the clever listeners to hear it once, just as a black mark is put on a forehead of a plump loving child to ward off evil eye. Baladio had applied the black mark in the form of this avatarnika to this robe. The beautiful book is like a well flavored meal, and the chapters are like different items. Buttermilk is necessary for digesting such a meal if heartily partaken. This Avatarnika is written for that purpose. The book is ever fruitful, wish fulfilling cow, and each of the chapters are holy and pure. The Avatarnika is the necklace of the black beads put around the neck to avert evil or malignant eye. So be it. I will explain to the best of my ability the method that Hemad Pant uses for the compilation of the chapters. Listeners should hear it with respect. At the outset, there is a praise for Sadguru, and then there is a narration of the Vedant, description of Sai Brahman incarnate, followed by the narration of experiences. To begin with, Hemad was well versed in Shastra and literature, and with the propitiation of Satguru Sai, he overnight turned into a genius so that he could create this book like a well flavored meal. He who experiences its sweetness and goodness will find that the cycle of birth and death has ended and the legacy of liberation will be received. How can the grandeur of this book be described when it has Hema's lucid language and the sacrament of Sai? Truly, it is the mixture of milk and sugarcane juice. There may be many authors, but they do not have the authority of sacramental language for which a real Sadguru is needed, who is the support of the universe and consort of Rama. Even if the Shastras are studied, such a book cannot be written without the Guru's grace. This is absolutely true. Who can describe the SHRI Sai Satcharitra? How incomparable and worthy is this book for which the author like Hemad Pant was found. It is the supreme good fortune for seekers of liberation. As long as this book exists on this earth, its fame will spread amongst the people. Govind Rao had given a timely abundance for wealth for its seekers of liberation. Twice blessed is this surpassing book, which is the outcome of Sai Satguru favor. It will be honored by the seekers of liberation and it will overcome their poverty of thought. Because of the store of good deeds done in innumerable past lives, Govind Rao had got the opportunity to do this service for Sai, which bore sweet fruit in the authorship of this book. Hemad Pant was a staunch devotee, poet, and fond of the knowledge to be gained from the Vedant. He was devotedly attached to Sai's feet day and night. The subject of Vedanta is very deep. Without the combination of detachment, devotion, and knowledge, the grace of the Guru, it is impossible to write such a book. These are not chapters but sockets of gold in which the priceless gems of the stories have been studied, from which sparks of knowledge and meaning have been drawn by Govindrao with immense effort. The different chapters are the fragrant garlands offered to the neck of Sri Sadguru Sainath by Govind, the loving child, to the best of his ability with pure devotion. The various chapters are pure pots of gold which are filled with Sri Sai Satcharitra like the waters of the Ganges by the son of Raghunath to drive away pride of seekers of liberation. In the canopy of a battlefield of various books, the son of Raghunath had raised victory pillars of the chapter for destroying the demons of evil feelings, deceit, and false pride with the sword of intellect. The book is a 5 week lamp studded with gems to wave around king among saints. The chapter narrates the story which are wicks of the oil, the light of which brings detachment and peace. The book of Maya, which entices the world, the chapters are arms raised high, and the meaning of these stories are bracelets decorating the body, ready to embrace Sai Brahman incarnate. The Sai Satcharitra is the universal sovereign amongst books. The chapters are very pleasing, clever minstrels narrating the faith, knowledge, and the Vedantic beauty and its vast glory. The Sai Satcharita is the marketplace for spirituality, and each chapter therein is an emporium. The stories of the experiences are objects fully stocked there, arranged neatly by the greatest amongst poets. The book is formidable as the span of the Ganges. The chapters are compact guards of just proportions. The flow of stories are like nectar by the Guru's grace and formidable greatness. It is not just a book, but a wish fulfilling tree which the people engrossed in mundane existence find barren, but for the seekers of liberation, it gives only actual experience of liberation. This alone can be called a real memorial which destroys the darkness and tribulations of the mundane existence and saves from the hell of greed and illusion. It is certainly a giver of peace. The author Govind Rao, by being the bee at the lotus feet of Sai Satguru, always savors the new drawn sweet honey. His surname was Dabolkar, and he was engaged in serving British government. He was learned, full of humility, well behaved, and well qualified. Rakumbai was his wife, virtuous, devoted, and full of good qualities, dedicated to her husband and always submissive. She had confirmed faith in Sai. Dapoli near Vengula was the original place of the domicile of a poet. Later on, Kelva was the village for the family of forefathers. In Shake 1781, that is 1859 AD, on the fifth day of the dark fortnight of Magashir month, the blessed and the meritorious Govind was born to Lakshmi, the wife of Raghunath. He belonged to the Gaud Saraswat Brahmin caste and to the Bharadwaj Gotra. He died at the age of 70 in Shake 1851 on the ninth day of the dark fortnight of the Ashad month. In Shake 1844, 1922 AD, in the month of Chaitra, he commenced writing this book and completed up to the 52nd chapter by Shake 1851, that is 1929 AD, in the month of Jelsta. Govind Rao was the only son and had five daughters, of which four were married. The son was also married and was studying medicine, and the unmarried daughter was also doing the same. Now, I shall mention the procedure of recitation of this book as well as the easy method of doing it within 7 days as laid down in the Guru Charita or other such books. Listeners are requested to pay attention. Do the recitation with a pure heart and devotion, completing it in a day or 2 or 3 days. Sai Narayan will be gratified. Otherwise, complete it easily in a week and you will have immense good fortune on continuing basis. Sai will fulfill the heart's desire and fear of worldly existence will be destroyed. Be the recitation on a begin the recitation on a Thursday in the early morning after bath. Sit on your asan, sit for prayer after quickly completing your usual routine. Make a pleasing large canopy with banana plants, curly and beautiful cloth covering over it and let it be well decorated. In it, let there be a raised platform for the book and decorate all the four sides of it with rangoli which are pleasing for the eyes. Make an image of Sai Sadguru or take a beautiful picture of him and place it carefully on a high platform. Make obeisances to him with love. Tying the book with a silk cloth, place it near the Sadguru. After worshipping both with Pancha Upahar, commence the reading. Observe the holy vows for 8 days, having only milk, fruits, or roasted grain of any one kind, eating only once, or having only one meal a day, keeping facing the east, and keeping the image of Sadguru in the heart. Do the recitation of this book with a calm mind and with joy. During the 7 days, read first 8 chapters on the first day, then the next 8 on the second day, followed by 7 on the third day, then 8, 6, 8, and 7 on the following 4 days, and only Avatarnika on the 8th day. On the 8th day, at the end of the observance of vows and offering of Naivedya to Shri Narayana, Sai Narayana, feed friends, relatives, and Brahmins with delicacies and give dakshina to them to the best of one's ability, inviting the Vedic Brahmins, have them to chant the Vedas at night, offer them sugar flavored milk, and give them respectful send offs, and they will have a well satisfied body and mind. Finally, after doing obeisances at the Sadguru's feet, uh, uh, offer him appropriate dakshina and send that to the treasury of the Shirdi Sai Sansthan to augment funds for the Sansthan. Lord Sai will be gratified thereby and he will bless the devotee. The snake in the form of worldly existence will be destroyed and the treasure of liberation will be relieved to him. Listeners, may you feel at home with the saint. You may forget the Avatarnika, but keep an eye on the meaning of this book. The earnest request of this humble one at your feet. Virtuous listeners, be very merciful to this humble one till the end of time. I place my head at your feet. Baba, praise thus unto you. Whatever is very deficient, attribute to me. Take the essence, you listeners, and act in such a way that the mind is resplendent. Obeisance to Sai, the son of Shiva, that is Ganesha. Obeisance to Sai, seated on the lotus, that is Brahmadev. Obeisance to Sai, the killer of the demon Madhu, that is Vishnu. Obeisance to Sai, the five-faced Lord, that is Shiva. Obeisance to Sai, the son of Atri, that is Datta. Obeisance to Sai, the killer of the demon Paka, that is Indra. Obeisance to Sai, the lover of the night, that is the moon. Obeisances to Sai, the Lord of Fire. Obeisances to Sai, the consort of Rukmini. Obeisances to Sai, the son of the mind. Obeisances to Sai, the ocean of knowledge. Obeisances to Sai, Shri Dhyaneshwari. The Avatarnika is the verbal Pushpanjali offering of flowers. Similar is the obeisance of the glorious names which I have prayed, offering them at the feet of the Guru. Mother Sai is gratified. This is the end of the 53rd chapter of Sri Sai Samartha Satcharitra, written by Baba's slave Bal, impelled by saints and virtuous people, called Avatarnika Epitome. This is offered to Sri Sadguru Sainath. May there be auspiciousness. Om Sai Ram. Let us do the Aarti. Shri Sachidanand Sadguru Sainath Maharaj ki jai. Shirdi माझे पंढरपूर साई बाबा रमावर बाबा रमावर साई बाबा रमावर शुद्ध भक्ती चंद्रभागा भाव कुंडली जागा कुंडली जागा भाव कुंडली जागा याव याव अवके जन करा बाबा श्रीवंदना साई श्रीवंदना करा बाबा श्रीवंदना गणोपने बाबा साई गाव पाव माझे आई पाव माझे आई गाव पाव माझे आई कनेलो तांगण वने कचरण कयाती पायन रूप तुझे प्रेमीन रंगीन अनंत पूजिम पवेव महिन बने नमा त्वमेव माता पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धु सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या दैरङ्गमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव अयेन माझ्या प्रसन्नेर्म हृदयातनावापतन स्वभाव करोमि यद्यं सकलतरस्मै नारायणा इति समर्पयामि अच्युतं केशवं राम राम नारायणं कृष्णदामोदरं वासुदेवं हरे केशवं माधवं गोपिकावल्लभं जानकीनायकं रामचन्द्रं हरे हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे श्री गुरुदेव दत्त सच्चिदानंद सद्गुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय. Om Sai Ram. I urge all the devotees to read one chapter of the Sai Satcharitra every day and soak in Baba bliss. Baba bless you. Om Sai Ram.